So I'm watching the old 80s Devilman OVAs and I get to this shot where Akira Fudo fires a shotgun at this crazy monster and it explodes into tatters. This indecipherable combination of Venus flytrap vagina tentacle monster has already taken one shotgun shell to the face, and the artist has somehow imagined what that creature might look like after having taken those bullets. And then when the monster is shot a second time, he somehow imagines exactly what it would look like for that monster to get further torn to shreds. And all of this looks totally correct. It is fully sold. I believe that's what that monster looks like when it's getting blown to pieces, but what the fuck did you reference for that? Who drew this? Okay, I'm just hitting the random button on Sakugaboru, so I'm not saying this is the best one of these that Hayao Miyazaki's ever done, but like, have you seen these moving background sweeping shots that he uses in like most of his films? How do you even convey those different depths of elevation in the hills below? I mean, how much studying of flyover photography do you have to do to be able to fucking construct this? This is like really fucking mind-blowing to look at, honestly. Okay, this is not new information, but if you didn't know, there's one frame of this big Shinobu kick scene where you can see that she's just wearing a band-aid over her snatch, and really it's just the fact that he snuck that detail in there in the middle of such a spastic and crazy fucking scene that makes this legendary in the first place. I've never liked Hyoka. I think it's mad boring, but there's this weird like one-upmanship game that the show plays with itself over having characters go into and out of the backgrounds. Weird, difficult perspective shots that I don't even know how they would have gotten a reference for or like figured out how you're supposed to animate a character moving through these specific fields of depth, but like they did it time and time again for no real reason. Like, it's just in the middle of exposition scenes just to fucking show off. This was for sure one of my favorite sequences animated in 2017. This fucking dragon is terrifying. It's not really looking in any particular direction. It's just got these huge manic insane eyes, and I really wonder how much of this was inspired by Shin Gojira. Like, I don't know how long this was in production, like if it's even possible that that movie was out already, but like the way this thing's face looks, the way it moves, and especially this fucking laser fire breath that just like erupts forth and it just drags through the sky, I would highly compare to the same thing from Shin Godzilla. So out of control, like its movements are so erratic that it's unpredictable, and it makes it really spooky and terrifying until it turns into like a CG thing in the background for a little bit. This has always been one of my favorite cuts from Gurren Lagann, and a lot of it's just because Nia is so fucking cute at this point in the show when she's got the hoodie and the short hair, and this is like her crowning moment of greatness in her younger life as a character. Something about the technical detail on that shutter closing really raises the emotional stakes of somebody getting out of the goofy ass Daiguren ship. And there's like a really difficult looking perspective shot when she climbs into the cockpit, but the result is this super adorable little piece of togetherness. Nia is just so perfectly drawn in those last few frames. Every single frame of artwork is beautiful in this animation. Yutaka Nakamura is just like run out of people to compete with. Like, it's not even about animating like the coolest action scene of all time. He's just like trying to do new stuff and like just find new ways to animate people moving and like what an action scene can be interpreted as. Like, this is an action scene in a comedy scene. Okay, so Bahi JD is this Austrian animator who got into the anime industry somehow, and he's really beloved in the Sakuga community because he speaks English and does lots of interviews, and he like comes from watching Sakuga Mads as how he learned to animate. And this dude had a couple of scenes here and there that were like pretty great animation, but then he like low-key just kind of dropped one of the like top 5 fucking best parts of Space Dandy. Okay, this episode has crazy fucking sick animation. Yutaka Nakamura pulls out all the stops on his fucking cubes and shit, but Bahi JD's cuts are like unfathomable. Like, what in the fuck? The way he handles the speed lines on the scales on this monster is like freaking me out. Like, how did he keep track of all that shit? And on top of that, just has Dandy and fucking Meow just like tumbling in these insanely goofy, hilarious ways where it's like they're moving in sequence with each other, so it's as though they choreographed it, but they're obviously tumbling at the same time. Like, it's really fucking funny looking. And then there's just like monsters just eating each other, and like, I don't know exactly what's happening, but it's totally crazy. You get to this other shot and the characters are on fire, so the flame effects are going insane. You've got the effects of the snake monster and the water monster all happening at once, and the water monster's got its own totally different, distinct aesthetic where its bubbles all like move in these weird patterns together. Like, it's this gelatinous, goopy, weird thing that like looks nothing like the animation that's happening over top of it. And then a lightning monster shows up, and it's got its totally different effects animation style that's like really snappy and like pounding, and like everything up to this point's been goopy and funny and weird, and then this thing's just like visceral and intense, and it's all so weird looking and out there that you can't even really quite like parse it the first time you see it. You're just like, what the fuck was that? Like, what was that? I've had to watch these clips like dozens of times to fully understand what's happening in them, because it's just so much to look at. Oh my god, Bahi JD. This is like a masterpiece level animation that this dude just dropped in the middle of 2014 when like people were starting to look, but like not enough people were looking. Okay, fucking look at what Yutaka Nakamura was doing in the first episode. He was like memeing on himself here. He does the Utapon cubes thing to like the most insane degree. Like, this is a meme now. Like, he's had the characters come up from the ground out of cubes, get dipped back into cubes, the cubes split apart, and then they fly through the vastness of space. They see the cosmos through the cubes. They slide down an earth slide that forms out of fucking nowhere. And the cubes go fucking crazy in this one sequence. But that's like the part that people look at episode 1 and go like, oh, that's the Yutaka Nakamura bit. But like, everything else he does in the episode is nothing like that, and it's fucking insane. Look at these laser effects. It's like sound waves are battering the fucking enemy. What the fuck is this effect? I've never seen it before. Then like when he's got Dandy putting away the gun, this is not the same animation style he would use in a fight scene. Like, this is a totally different thing, and he really goes crazy with it in the dance scene in fucking episode 4 of season 2, which is like the craziest fucking animation in the world. This dude is a fucking legend. No one is like inventing themselves over and over again more than this guy is right now. Holy shit, is this what Masaaki Yuasa's stuff looks like when it's a movie? When do I get to see this movie? Yo, I feel like this movie is gonna look to other people like what Ponyo looks like to me. And for me, this is like Ponyo, but it's just Ponyo on drugs, basically. But like, it's on the same drugs I'm on? Oh, you know, this one isn't technically impressive or anything, but like, it knows what's good. Oh, yeah. Oh, Koji Morimoto goes good with trap music. Okay, I think that was probably like 10 or so. I'm gonna leave you with this clip of me getting really turned on by this fucking girl from Shin-Chan beating shit out of this guy. I didn't know those cuties like this in Shin-Chan, but that's good to know. I'll probably do another one of these sometime in the future, so look forward to episode 2 of the 10 sickest anime clips, I guess.